Why would you not quit your job and farm full time? Well, number one is if your spouse isn't ready. You know, in my book, You Can Farm, I talk about, and I think I did this with our first course, The Foundations of Farming. The number one reason farms fail is unshared vision between husband and wife. And that vision is all sorts of things. Not just, you know, whether to farm full time, but what's the farm going to look like? And I think we talked about, you know, messies and cleanies, and starters and finishers, and savers and spenders, and introverts and extroverts, and all of these things. You know, if one of you is a homebody and doesn't want anybody around ever, I don't want anybody in my space, and the other one is a gregarious butterfly that wants people there every weekend spending money and buying stuff, that's a problem. Okay, so you have to work through that kind of a shared mission statement, a shared vision before you start. And then I would say a lot of it too depends on where the kids are. So if you have children, generally, in my experience in consulting with families, any child under 10, man, they're ready to go to the farm. You don't have to convince them or anything. Over 10, 11, then, you know, they start having their squeamishness. We're going to go out with a bunch of dirty pigs, or, you know, whatever. There's this, and especially teenagers. If they've been in the city and you haven't been gardening or canning or, you know, visiting farms and helping plant potatoes or dig potatoes or whatever, if your kids aren't ready to, doesn't mean your kids don't have to want to be farmers, but listen, you don't want to be sandbagged every day. That's just so if your kids aren't on board, if your spouse isn't on board, your kids aren't on board, pump the brakes, because at the end of the day, you can raise the best, you know, tomatoes in the world, but if the house is in turmoil and you've gone through a divorce and your kids are stomping out of the house, the tomatoes aren't going to make life fun. And so pump the brakes and look at what you can do right now to help ameliorate that. Can you expose them in a positive way to some, you know, farm type stuff? Don't go to Disney. Go on a glamping thing on the edge of a farm somewhere. You know, move some cows. Go lie down in the. You know, we have an open invitation here at Polyface. Anybody wants to come down in the evening and lie down with the cows and have them come and lick your face, you know, you'll never be the same. I mean, it's the coolest thing in the world. And so, you know, so look, pump the brakes and determine what you're going to do. Number two is if you don't have a nest egg, because the fact is that that developing a farmstead is not cheap. You know, you might buy a tractor. You might build a shed. I mean, if it has a house, that's fine. You might have to remodel. You might have to. Anyway, it's really you can spend $100,000 developing a very small homestead very, very quickly. What I see often happens is people blow their equity on getting as much land as they can, as much real estate as they can, and then there's not enough left over to develop it. So it's a lot better to have a small piece of property with enough left over to actually develop it than it is to get a bigger piece of property and then be unable to actually leverage it to its best potential. I would say those are the significant things to pump your brakes on. I spend a lot of time on the relational part of it, but you know as well as I do, when you've got a gung-ho team, everybody's pulling on the same rope in the same direction, I mean, you're almost unstoppable. But if you've got a couple people pulling in the opposite direction, it doesn't matter how much you say pull, it's going to be a chore. So have your relationships sweet and in place and gung-ho to go. Get your nest egg together, and then make sure you have enough left over to develop what you want to develop.